Hey guys, welcome to Andrea Loves Everybody. This is a podcast about love and relationships, and today I have with me Katrina Davis.
Yay, hi. I just yayed myself. Is that what
I love it.
Yay.
I love it. Yay, Katrina Davis.
I'm really excited to do this with you, so I think that's why that yay came out.
Katrina is you're one of the first female comics that I kind of started to know around LA.
I like the Lexington and stuff. Yeah, and Sunday Mike.
Bomb Mike.
We used to go outside.
We would hang out at Bomb Mike afterward.
About Bomb Mike.
And it was really fun.
That was awesome. I missed that house.
I miss that mic so much. And I think you were the first person to recommend me for a spot at the Lexington.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And that's how I met Aston and stuff. So
really?
Yeah, I didn't know Aston before.
That's what I mean. I didn't know that was the order of that. I thought that you knew Aston already from going to the Lexington.
I'd never been to the Lexington before. So that was my first time. And
that's so cool.
When I got there, I was like, where am I? I was so terrified because I wound up parking in the arts district because I didn't know where anything was. And it was
so you parked in the nice part and then walked into where the Lexington
walked through all of the homeless everything. And I was so terrified. And then Chandler Watson walked me back to my car. Yeah, it was people were chill, but it freaked me out.
No, you're right. I'm totally used to it now.
Totally. Yeah, you're just it's fine.
And just what's up, man? Want a granola bar? And just park and leave. But
just don't hit me with that cool bucket you made friends with. It's cool.
It's also just really funny to park on the nice part where that cool.
It's hip and
there's a fusion hot dog Thai place or something, and then you'll park on that side and walk a block, and it's just oh, okay, cool.
This is where all the murders happen. Okay,
10 houses are nice.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Something I like to start this podcast off by letting people know something that I love about them. You just are so positive, and you have such a positive energy especially in comedy where people are oh, I didn't get this spot or this thing didn't, and you're just not really about that trash.
Yeah,
so I really appreciate it. It's super cool. And you're also the OG mom for Mom Party, and I took your spot, and then
you tagged me out.
Quickly followed in your steps when I was like, oh, this is horrible.
Oh my gosh, I was about to say that is the thing about that Mike was, because I don't know if people know, Mom Party was such an accident. Paul, your counterpart in Oversharing Comedy, Paula Viganalin, she called me that night. The two guys that run the mic on Tuesdays or Mondays at Boys Club.
Yeah.
Daniel and Everett, they had an extra night, basically. They were hey, we got another night because Boys Club is doing so well, but we wanted to be they had this concept of having a mic run by women.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
they had the name and everything.
Oh.
But they wanted it to be boxed wine and all this stuff. And Paul was basically hey, I'm at a mic with Daniel and Everett. They're supposed to have the first night of this mic tonight, and the girl that was supposed to do it bailed. Do you want to run this mic with me?
Really?
And I was okay. I was that's super fucking late, dude. At first time she told me, I was but it's one night. I'll do it.
Yeah.
So we did the mic that night.
It's
and
so
by
fun.
the end of that mic, I was oh, great, this is our mic now. I knew that was going to be our mic. And so I think I tried to make it a year and I didn't. I made it 8 or 9 months.
I thought I could make it a year,
but
and then
so
3 months. I literally, what would happen is Thursday mornings, I would wake up with a stomach ache every morning.
Oh.
And then one morning I couldn't get out of bed. I had to call into work. I was I can't stand up. And then I was hey, I think we can't do this mic anymore.
Yeah, oh my god.
It just hurt my body so bad.
Do you think it gave you an ulcer or something?
I think it did, yeah. And that'll still happen. This week, I only slept 5 hours for 3 nights in a row. And then my stomach just was bitch, no.
And see, I would just be so disoriented that I was it's not safe for me to be out in the world
driving
this tired.
No,
right?
no.
Now that mic, because now it's basement comedy, but I think it has a hard stop at 2:30 now.
Yeah.
But when we first started Mom Party, it would go till we would try to get everyone up. So we would go till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's crazy.
And then I would get home, sleep an hour and a half, wake up. I would wake up so disoriented that I thought that because I would come home from work, get home at 7 and try to go to sleep as fast as I could.
Take a nap.
Yeah. Basically just
but it messes your body up.
sleepness, right? So I'd like try to get to sleep as fast as I could, wake up at like 10, pack up my car with everything and go. And then come home and sleep a little bit. But I would wake up that next morning and think that I had slept all the way through the night and missed the mic. Like I would be so depressed. I was like, oh my God, I missed the show. And then be like, oh no, we did the show. And then like remember everything that happened and be like, oh fuck. And then be like, oh, also I have to get up and leave in like 30 minutes now. And I have to get up and like get ready for work really fast and have a whole day. I used to try to like nap in my car on lunch breaks.
Too, yeah.
Which works, but not in the summer.
No, it's murder. It's such murder. And that's why, like, I think I made it to like, I made it to Paul V's birthday. I told her I made it to her birthday.
That's so sweet.
And then that was our last one. I was like, I can't.
That's awesome.
I've used all my sick days. I cannot do this.
Because people would see me even a couple weeks after I saw a comic, Jessica Singer. She's awesome. She works in my favorite dispensary by my house. So I see her like it's so sad. Like I see her more than so many other comics just because she works at the dispensary that I go to. But she saw me and she was like, you look great. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. Like, what am I?
I'm sleeping now.
No, you look like different than you've looked lately. She was like, I think you look better since you stopped doing that mic so late. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably right. I probably was like walking around looking like death.
I like lost 10 pounds because like the sleep and then you don't eat right and then you feel sick and like it was just
You're right. It ravages you if you have like any kind of regular. If you didn't have a job that every Thursday you could like come in at noon.
Right. I don't have that.
Right. Then it could work. For anybody that wants to do that, Mike, if you have a job that you can sleep until like 2 o'clock the day after, you're like, good to go.
If your job is already like a late night job, like I think Kelsey works well because she usually doesn't have to be to work till like 5.
Oh, like, yeah. So you're right. And
she's already on that schedule.
And that's
the
thing, even just in comedy, I feel like.
Yeah.
When you get a job that works on that schedule, it's way better. But then there's the trade-off of like, but I have like days off in healthcare and
I love healthcare. It's so nice.
Healthcare. Yeah. Especially when you get older. Like I'm gonna have to have surgery and like I gotta get that ish together.
You have to have surgery?
And it's fine. Girl.
Okay. I'm so concerned.
No. Have you ever heard Anna Valenzuela's joke about all the stuff she went through where she goes, women just turn into old dogs? That shit's so true. Like, that is one of my favorite jokes of hers.
That's really funny. Yeah, we're just falling apart from the inside out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about love, Katrina.
Okay.
Are you currently dating anyone?
I am actually. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I met him at the beginning of this year.
Nice.
So yeah, we've been dating for like whatever, like the 4 months
6
into that
months?
is, you know, not like I met him at the beginning of the year. So like known each other 6 months. We've been dating like probably 2 or 3 or something.
But that makes such a difference in like how well you know that person before you start dating them.
Yeah.
It's like I like it. I'm a fan of like, oh, I know you and I already really like you and we hang out all the time. Like maybe we should make out. Like,
oh yeah. Well, I also like a lot of the people that I've had relationships or pseudo relationships with, I knew for like years.
Me too.
So I'm used to being like super comfortable with the person that like I am now obsessed with or whatever.
Yeah, for real. So this guy, how did you meet him or like how did you guys know each other?
We met on Bumble, which is like cute. Andrea's face right now.
Never heard of this actually working out, so continue.
I've already instilled faith, like for at least like 3 women I know. But it was kind of a fluke still though, as far as I am super on and off with dating apps where I will burn out so fast and be like, I lied, I can't do this, and just delete it.
I like freak out I say that I try dating apps every 6 months just to be like, oh, I hate this. I hate everything about this.
Just to reaffirm how much they do not work. Exactly. And so and I know people have different experiences on them, but
I found them incredibly stressful and just like time consuming and just like they just give me so much anxiety. I really don't like them.
I think also not like I match with no one, but I match with so few people that I would actually spend time with, even based on photograph, which I already think is
a dumb way to pick people.
Yes, exactly. Which is already not the way that my brain picks the people I'm attracted to.
Me
you know
either.
what I mean? By like, right. So even if you see someone, you can legitimately see dozens of photographs of someone and think that you would absolutely be attracted to them and see them and be like, no. And so at this point, I would look at pictures and just be like, I don't know. Like, I would look at someone's picture and be like, I don't know. I don't know if I would like you. Sure, maybe. Like, all of this is so abstract. It's so weird. And so I would talk to people and then be like, oh, you're a nice person, but I don't want to date you. You know what I mean? And be like, yeah, this is dumb. Sorry, I waste your time. Bye. And those were most of the people that I would match with that would actually talk to me. I would match with people that I was like, oh, this guy is great. And then those people would never talk to me. Or they would talk to me and make plans with me and everything and then fall off like the day that the plans were supposed to happen.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's so annoying.
And so I definitely didn't believe in them at all. And
well, it's because there's no accountability.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, oh, you're a stranger. I don't care about you or your feelings, whatever.
It's also super frustrating to ask people what they're on there for and then be like, oh, we were just bored. My friend made this. Oh, we're all super drunk like around right now. And my friends are answering
I'm looking
questions
for love,
on here.
so okay, bye. I'm looking for a meaningful relationship and a true connection with another human being, but you're drunk. Okay, that's cool. No, it's fine. It's fine. Totally fine.
Good talk. Yeah, it's like so oversaturated and emotionally diluted at this point that it's like trying to find the one on chat roulette. Like, it's so dumb.
It is, yeah. And then if you think, it's just like, fuck me.
Like, I definitely wouldn't even get on Tinder at this point. I feel like that's
I couldn't.
Yeah, a girl recently was like, oh, well, I'm on Tinder. And I was like, why would you do that?
I think if you recognize, I think someone was like, yeah, this is a fuck app. And if you recognize it as a fuck app,
then
that's
absolutely
fine. Have fun.
Right.
This is what this is. It's
I've
okay.
only ever had fun on Tinder out of town. Like, I will leave town if I was like not in a relationship and get on Tinder and be like, legit, let's meet up for drinks.
Yeah,
and like,
I'm in town for the night.
I just have some, right. Like, I would do this by myself anyway because I don't know anyone else here. So you can come hang out with me and maybe I'll want to make out with you.
Cool.
That's about as good as I feel, like as successful as I feel Tinder can be at this point.
That's as good as it gets.
Yeah. But like the guy that I'm dating now, I had him as like the only person I was matched with on Bumble. Like, full on the only person in my like conversations forever. And then finally one day right before I like came home from my mic, it was like 3:00 in the morning and I wanted to go to a museum the next day. And I was like, oh, that dude likes museums. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to a museum tomorrow if you want to go, and just like sent it and went to sleep.
Was that your first interaction with him, or had
we had
been
messaging. We had like talked. He was like, oh, happy new year, blah, blah, blah. We had been messaging back and forth for a while and just not.
Was it anything that you thought was like meaningful or fun? Or you're like, oh, I kind of like this guy.
It was so much like, this guy is super all the stuff that I'm into, but because it's just a photo, I wasn't sparked in any way to.
Yeah, because you didn't have, there's no chemistry.
Yes,
you can't tell.
because it's a screen, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Especially because
I don't want to make out with my screen.
Right, especially when you've had instances where you clicked with people just as well and they were into as many things, and then the second that you actually ask them to hang out, they disappear. So it's like, even at this point, you could still.
Whatever.
I could still figure out how lame you are in like 24 hours, right? So woke up and he was like, oh, hey, look, I'm busy today, but I would like to hang out with you, like if you want to make plans for like next weekend, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so then we just made plans and hung out, and then we just never stopped hanging out.
Oh, that's
cool.
really cute.
Yeah.
So you guys have been dating for like 2 months? 3 months?
Yeah, like 2 or 3 months maybe.
That's cool.
We went to Mexico together in like March or April. And I think right before that, I was like, hey, just so you know, I like call you my boyfriend when I talk about you. And he was like, yeah, I call you my girlfriend. I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, that's so cute.
Whatever. I feel real dumb talking about like stuff I feel like nobody wants to hear about.
No,
no one wants to hear about things working.
It's, you know what? I think we do though, because I think that like so often, like a lot of my episodes of this podcast have focused on just like challenges. Mm-hmm. And I think that like finding out how to overcome, like people think, I think sometimes like, oh, you're in a relationship, it must be so easy or whatever.
No,
and it's just
way.
Like, no, it's
I'm like constantly
so
having
hard.
A panic attack about like breaking up with this person or being able to, like there was something even I realized recently where I like had a panic attack at work. I was like, I think I have to break up with them. Like, this is not okay.
Oh no.
And then like drove to his house and we talked and stuff. And I've been going through this whole thing where short of my one other long-term relationship, who was someone I had known for like a decade before we started dating, so I was super comfortable. Every other time that I've felt very strongly about someone,
they leave.
Well, they never get there. It's never been, I've never been able to have the attraction that I have for most people that I like and have them actually want the same
Return
thing that
that.
I want.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I'm so used to a level of excitement where you're constantly looking for the validation from the relationship from just sex that I thought that was the way you were supposed to feel when you like someone enough to date them. And so I was basically afraid that I didn't like him enough. Like I was like, this is perfect and I feel great, but I don't have this like constant anxiety in my body. So I don't think I like you enough.
Oh God. It's like, I just feel safe and that you care about me. And so if there's no panic, how am I supposed to know if I like you or not?
Exactly. And full on just had this like wave of panic come over me where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally wasting this person's time that I care about so much. I'm the worst person in the world. And then like talked to him and was like, I'm just afraid that like it's not enough. And I talked to him about it. And
so sweet.
Like, and I immediately like felt better just because I'm one of those people where I'm the person that even if I talk to my girlfriends, I'll be like, I think I need, like, I'm freaking out about something. I'll be like, I need to tell them. They're like, don't fucking tell him that. Like, I'm the person that wants to be so honest with someone in a relationship that my friends are like, why the fuck would you ever tell someone that? But that's the level I need to be at to be comfortable with someone.
Yes.
And so
Me
like,
too.
It's like I can't look across the table at you and at dinner and feel like I have whatever kind of like harboring.
Yeah.
Like,
anything.
You need to know exactly where I'm at, especially if you're like an amazing, caring person. So we like had this whole conversation and he was like talked me off the ledge basically and was like, you're fine. Like you're equating. And he like even talking through, he was like, well, it sounds like it might be better if I was meaner to you. And I was just like, well, I don't want that. But yeah, like that's even just
That's
recently
really
like figuring out.
Poor fella.
Seriously. He's great. But
That's really cute.
Like even just the way that you gauge and I've talked to other friends about this that are like married now and have been in other long-term relationships, like people that are more advanced in relationships than me. And they're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I used to feel the same way too, where I equated like butterflies and that rush with just
love, the
high of getting the acceptance that you want, but in those very small increments, like when you can't count on it, like you said, when you don't feel safe. So it's like you think that's what.
When someone's withholding, it's like gambling. It's addictive.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're like...
Every time you see that person, it's like, here we go. You're so right. Oh my God.
You're like putting coins on the slide. It's like, is this going to be the time that he's makes me feel cared for? Is this going to be the time? I'll just keep putting coins on the slot till he makes me feel like I can't.
Especially in like group settings, it's just like, oh my gosh, acknowledgement, no whammies. Like you're just pulling the lever.
Totally.
Hoping that this person will react to you the way you want them to.
Totally. I'm also going through something similar where like the dude that I started dating, I dated a whole bunch of dudes here in LA where like they would be my friends first and I would kind of trust them. And then they'd be like, oh, like you're too old or like you're too this or like I didn't really want a relationship. And I was like, what are you doing? We've been hanging, like, what is this thing? And so like with him, we were hanging out for a really long time as friends. And then he was like, hey, I really have feelings for you. And then I was like, I have feelings for you too. But here's what I'm afraid of. And then I like laid out all the things that I was afraid of or that might happen and like my concerns. And he addressed them like one by one and we talked about it and then we made out.
Oh my gosh.
And it was really nice.
That sounds healthy as fuck.
It was so hot. I've never been more turned on.
No, I totally know what you mean because I feel like ever since all of that like panic-ish happened, like I feel so much more at ease that all of that is this other level of like, I
had like one freak out where I was like, are you sure? Because he's a lot younger than me. I was like, are you sure this is okay? And this is what's freaking me out. And I just don't want things to like change with like how much I care about you and how important you are to me. And he was like, no, we'll just figure it out. And I was like, you're great.
Yeah, it is great. And that's the thing too. I think that level of honesty and having that thing that like, it feels like a safety net, but it's not, where like my boyfriend will be like, it's okay. If we get sick of each other, we can just get sick of each other. We just have to keep communicating. Like it's, there's always, I think for me personally, I get freaked out sometimes where, and this might be because I'm from the South and everyone since I was like 15 has been so much on that like long-term train, but it's like I'm constantly reevaluating is this forever, quote unquote? And it's not even forever. It's just like, do I see
this person
a thing happening where we should just break up now? I'm like always making sure that I don't see anything like that on the horizon. Right. And I'm being really like, I'm working on
just being like, hey, I'm happy today.
Yes. And
I'm still
like,
happy
stop
today.
Trying to anticipate something that you don't even know will or won't happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
Maria Bamford has a really good bit about that, where she talks about, she said that she would see people in successful relationships and be like, how do you do it? And they're like, well, we liked each other. And so we started dating, and then we still like each other. So we just keep dating.
Yeah.
And then it's 20 years. And she's like, wait, so you're telling me that I just keep doing the thing that I like doing and I don't worry about if it's going to fail or not? And she's like, she compares it to her career. She's like, I have a career in entertainment, which is the most difficult career to have. And when people ask me how I've spent 20 years, it's just like, well, I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great.
Right.
Just keep doing it.
Right. I just like haven't stopped dating you yet.
Yeah.
And so it's cool.
It's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great.
And we'll just deal with it.
But yeah.
That's really awesome.
One day at a time. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous of just like allowing yourself to be happy.
That's something that I like. I actually was talking about it with, I had Kadi Assad on as my last guest.
Hey.
And we were talking about the same exact thing of just like, just being present and just being like, well, I'm happy today.
Yeah.
I'm happy with you today.
Yep.
I think you're really great.
Yeah.
Let's just keep doing this.
Yep. And then like even going home and being like, how do you feel like would you have rather have spent this day any other way than with that person? No. Great. Like,
yes. Okay. This is cute as fuck. But yesterday, so the dude I'm seeing writes music. And yesterday I made a painting of him and then he wrote music about us.
Oh, wow.
And it was like the most romantic, adorable way to spend a day.
I feel like, so much better now about.
He's like, your painting really inspired me and I made this song. It's like the cheesiest, corniest shit. And I was like, this is really great. I really like this.
Here's the thing. I don't not want to hear that song though. So
I'm really excited about it. He's like, yeah, I think I see like a whole album. And I was like, cool, because I want to do a series of paintings about this. And so we're gonna like collaborate and like make cute shit together. I'm really excited.
Love collabo.
It's like, I was like, this is like the most adorable, like.
How long have you been hanging out with this person?
We've been hanging out for a long time, but like dating like a little over a month.
Oh,
but it's
okay,
like,
cool. But this is like the cutest.
It's cute.
But also, you know each other. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
know him so well. It's very funny.
Oh wow.
But anyways, that was like, sorry, I just like gush a little bit of gush.
It. Yeah.
But you want to talk a little bit about interracial dating?
Yeah.
Is your boyfriend not black?
He is not black. He's not even American. He's Italian, but he's white. He's white. And
is he like Italian from Italy?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's funny because when
that's also international dating.
Hey, that's funny. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it is. No, but even when I was like, oh, we should do it, like, especially with you, because I know that you also date
non-white people.
Interracially? Why was that so hard for me to say just then? You also date interracially. I was trying to add like 8 more R's as a white woman. I wanted, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like the two parallels.
It's
it being different.
Yeah, it's
like our difference, but our difference is still so different than I feel like men are seen when they date interracially.
What do you mean?
Like, I feel like it is way different for me to be seen holding hands with a white man than it is for a black man to be seen holding hands with a white woman.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, so there's very different connotations.
Right. And there's just like how people feel about it.
Expectations.
Yeah.
I talked with Niles. I had Niles Epson on, and he did we talked a little bit about interracial dating with him, and he talked about like dating white people and like, just like he grew up in Mississippi. And so like just the judgment of like,
dude. Because I grew up in Florida and Mississippi like scares me.
Yeah,
like,
it's terrifying. Yeah. And he said even like some of his friends treated him different.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a thing even with interracial dating that I think isn't a thing that like scarred me or anything, but it's definitely something that affects how I feel, even if I try not to let it, is like when I was younger, the guys that I would be attracted to and that would be attracted to me in some cases would be like, oh, you're great, but like I can never date you.
Oh,
and that was
because they're white?
Yeah, which was a lot of my first instances of being attracted to someone, was just being like...
Them being like, oh, you're great and we get along and I think you're really cool,
and like,
but...
this is never gonna happen.
That's just like, that's such a horrible reason not to date someone.
I mean, yeah, but like, when you're like 15 and you do everything your parents tell you, you know what I mean? Like, you could be the rebellious kind of kid that does, you know what I mean? But they're also like a guy that I like, my like high school sweetheart, like we kind of like secretly hung out. Like we never like dated. Like he would like openly date other girls, but like,
that is so
I was
shitty.
like
That's
in love with this person for like however long or whatever. But also when he was very young, when he was like in kindergarten, had a crush on this girl and they held hands all day, him and this little black girl. His teacher was like, oh my gosh, like, oh my God, like David has a little girlfriend, told his dad, and his dad beat the shit out of him when he got home. So there are people that are like functioning on a level where it's, some people, I feel like it is superficial, where they just are so self-conscious, and it's not even superficial because it still makes you feel... I feel like that even is a struggle within yourself if you're attracted to someone, but you know you're going to be under a certain kind of social scrutiny, right? And so you're all of a sudden put against this thing. But like, okay, well, what kind of person are you going to be at 16? Are you going to like be with the person that you care about so much, whatever level of emotion you are at that point? Or are you going to like shut up and not make waves because you're not trying to get like
in trouble and get your parents to yell at you?
Yeah, or have a bunch of awkward conversations when like there's a perfectly fine like blonde girl that like it's just easier, you know?
But here's the thing is like no relationship is easy.
Yeah.
No
this
relationship
is us talking as adults though. Like this is me talking about like when my experiences growing up that made me, you know what I mean? My experiences that like have put certain things in my head. And then that's like the other side. That's how I see it coming from the other person. But for me, it was more just...
It's cool that you have empathy for people. You know what I mean? Yeah. That you are kind of like
because
understand.
I also being like not even because where I grew up wasn't so like, oh, there were no black people. There were a decent amount of black people by the time I got into high school. Yeah. But it was still, and still is, I think, very culturally segregated, where if you're a black person that does not act a certain way, then you are automatically in social flux where... Well, you're not really black, that might not really one, right. And you're so not this, and people don't know what box to put you in. So now no one's really that into you. Everyone sort of fucks with you. You know what I mean? And you have friends, but there are people that might not totally understand you. Like I have friends that quote unquote are like, oh my, and this is still also thinking when you're way younger, like high school age, but it's like, oh, we love you. You're just white. And it's like, okay.
That's not the kind, like I know that you're trying to accept
exactly,
me, but
and
that's
so
not
right, and that's what where people were at when I was that age, and kind of just, and even just feeling bad about yourself, where it's like I don't constantly have the energy in me to have this conversation, and so sometimes I just want to let people say stuff that you hate, and just like fucking hate it.
I'm listening to what's the name of it? I'm listening to this really good book on tape, and it's called Accidental Activist. There's a book club, I forget her name, but she's a YouTube star, and she did this YouTube video that was called Shit That White Girls Say to Black Girls. And it was like a lot of that stuff of just like, well, you're not really black, or you're not this, and it's just like,
and it's absolutely things that people think they mean as a compliment. It's totally. But they don't even realize what they're saying is basically, I am either scared of, intimidated by, or find most other black people unacceptable, but you're the kind I like. And like that's what you take as a black person, because it's like, and
you're
even
still
when you
less than me. That's what they're saying to you. It's just like, oh, you're still less. Or I still don't consider you my equal.
Like you passed,
kind of.
It's almost it's almost like they think that they're accepting you for who you are, but they still can't accept that you're the black person that you are.
Totally,
they can't just say that you're a person. They have to say that you're a whatever variation of the person they think you should be.
Yeah.
But that even is just, which it's not just young people, but yeah.
It's not.
You're right.
I think
I try to like say that that's like,
it's ignorant people.
Yeah.
And I think that there's varying levels of it. And I think that ignorance just comes from lack of exposure.
Yeah.
And hopefully like.
Right. You're so right.
Yeah.
And then because I feel like where I grew up, there were Black people that did it to me also. And it was like, you talk white and the things that they were saying. And I know that there are things that legit, or it's like, okay, whatever. Like I legit say righteous. Like I get what people are talking about to a certain extent, but also at some point you're just saying that I sound too educated to be Black like you are.
Yeah.
And you're saying, because when you say that I'm not Black, you're saying that you can't also have the characteristics that I have, which at this point was what? Like being involved in extracurriculars that weren't maybe not just like, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like the fact that I am interacting with people other than the people that look like me. Like why does that make me like I can be Black and be that person at the same time? Like I just was talking to another comic that lives a little bit farther out of LA, and I feel like he's constantly posting about these insanely like racist things. And he was saying about people still saying that like, oh well, I'm surprised you listen to metal because you're Black and stuff like that. And it's like, well, anytime someone tells you like, oh, like that phrasing of, oh, you're Black and you do, I didn't know Black people did that. And or Black people don't do that. And it's like, well, they do that because I'm Black and I do it.
Yeah.
So just by me existing and doing that thing that you didn't think Black people did, now you officially have to open that box up to Black people also listening to metal. Right. Like Black people like guar. And like, you know what I mean? Like it's not, whatever, but they exist. And so that whole background, I think, lays the foundation for how it's accepted when we're older, because I feel like it was the same kind of thing with, and this is another thing that I've seen from other minority men that I know that started when they were younger, and I don't know if they work through or manifest in other ways or whatever, but they were absolutely minority men that I know wanted to date white girls or Asian girls even, or whatever it was.
Girls that were outside of their race.
Yes.
Yeah,
because, and more white girls for the reason I'm about to say, but to feel some level of acceptance in a general white community.
Totally.
So you are the only minority on a team at school, like you're the only minority on a lacrosse team.
It's like, no, I'm one,
or whatever. You're going, because that's where I think a real flux starts, is like being the only minority on some team that is socially accepted highly. So you're grouped in with these people that are the popular kids or whatever.
But they don't see you as one of them still.
Or whatever it is.
Totally.
Or you're the only one that that's our friend. That's our one friend.
Yeah.
Though. You know what I mean?
But
like,
everyone
but he's
else,
cool.
Everyone else
he's
is,
like
but he's
right.
And it's just like, well, no, maybe if your friend's super cool, baby, there's a lot of people that are a different race than you that are also super cool.
Right.
That you're just discounting because you just haven't had experiences with enough people that are different than you.
Right. And so I feel like there are people that get put in those situations and are automatically faced with all of those differences of, oh, I'm getting invited to people's houses that I normally wouldn't to for team dinners or whatever it is, where you're seeing all of these things where you all of a sudden feel like you want to belong.
Yeah.
And so that seems like a way to be accepted, is to be accepted into a white family, kind of.
Totally.
Because in Florida, like in the South,
It's
I think in general, if you date, you can start dating someone when you're 15, and by the time you're 18, you're in all their family photos. Like you're a part of that family, because there are people I know that are married to those people or were with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still are or were. And so there is, I think, a level of social acceptance that some people
are
for.
seeking from the people that they date.
Absolutely. And I think that that's different for men and women, though.
Yes. Well, so for you and for your experience, you have these like white dudes that are just like, oh, I really like you, but I can't because like whatever.
And for me, and I think this is just because we're women, but it's like I have never once thought that dating a white guy was going to make me look cool to fucking anyone. Like, no one is super into me dating white guys except for that white guy. Like, no one So that was I have never been into it. If anything, it was like some Romeo Juliet shit where it's like, I like this person so much that I don't care about whatever level of, you know.
For me, it was never, I think like it was weird because for me, it was never a conscious choice to be like, oh, I'm just like not super white guys.
I just like this person.
Like my first boyfriend was Indian and I was just like,
mine too.
I really like him.
Oh my God. That's the thing too. And it's not
he doesn't fit in any box.
Right. And
he's not,
and it's not like something I talk about all the time, but even people being like, oh yeah, because I don't know because people don't say it to my face, but I hear of people discussing like, oh yeah, Katrina, like saying like, oh, I only fuck white guys. And I have majority slept with white men or been with white men, dated white men. But I've also dated, my first boyfriend was Indian. I was crazy bonkers about this Puerto Rican guy for like 4 years. One of my most emotionally fulfilling relationships that I had before this one was a black man that fucked it up for every dude after him for like 3 years because he was just so great. And so it's like, but I'm not going to go around defending myself by listing all of the different races
do you need
of people that I haven't.
Like, you need my roster? What do you need from me? Like, I love people and then I fuck them. What do you want from me?
I look, because even, it's so funny, Felicia Folks, my best friend, she said one of the first things that I said to her, which I don't really remember this, but I was telling her I had a crush on a comic and she looked at me like I was crazy and I go, here's the thing. I like ugly dudes sometimes.
Me too.
And she was like, what are you talking? Yes, because we totally bond over this because you said a joke like this at mom party one night. And I was like, dude, like it's a thing where it's like, I understand.
I'm attracted to who you are.
Yeah. And it will full on be even across a room. I have gone up the stairs to a bar, looked at someone's eyes through, like before I even made it to the landing, was like, I'm going to fuck that dude. Like, it just happens sometimes. And so it's like, I have fully known, like, oh, everyone that I tell I'm into this dude is going to think I'm freaking crazy. Like, I understand what he looks like if you drew a composite sketch of him. But I like him. Like, I love how funny his face looks.
I like this dude, and he had webbed hands.
Oh, my gosh, are you serious?
And Paulby was like, she made fun of me so hard. I was like, but I like him. He's nice. I don't know.
He's a great swimmer, and I love him. That's funny.
It was really.
But that's also like, that's a minor imperfection. Like if you think
who fucking cares?
Like,
I don't
if you're not
care.
If you're not obsessed with holding hands, fingers laced, I don't see what the problem is.
It's whatever, dude. Like, it's fine. But that's the thing is like, I think that like the reasons that we like people are so different and so varied.
Yeah.
And I personally.
Very true.
It's like, it's not really my job to police who people are into. Like if you love someone and you're working and you have a good relationship and that person makes you happy.
Yes.
Go have that. What are you?
You're sorry. Like the only reason I know anything about the reasons that other people would be in interracial relationships other than just genuinely liking that person from their gut is because I've talked to people about all of these other things that they discovered about themselves. Yeah. Totally. But it's like, other than that, you just like blonde girls. I don't care.
It's cool.
That's fine. Yeah. It's like I went through a Filipino breakdancer phase. Nothing came of it.
A phase.
I was in love with that. Like most of my 7th grade was just like wanting so badly for like Filipino boys with bleached orange hair to pay attention to me, and they were not having it. And I just like I just wanted to go to their practices so bad. It was, yeah.
I can relate pretty hard to that, surprisingly. But yeah, I think just like something that's always baffled me, because like my parents are weird and interesting. Like my biological dad is one of those people, he just doesn't really judge other people ever. He's made every mistake and done everything bad in the whole world.
That he's just like, people are people, and I have done super, like he's like...
just so you know, his advice is just like, hey, don't drive drunk, you could go to jail. You know, like he'd be like, hey,
he's like, I'm barely allowed in most of the states in this country.
Exactly.
You're a fine man.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. So like my biological dad doesn't judge other people. He doesn't do that gossipy thing. He doesn't care really what other people are doing with their lives. He's like, my life's great. That's fine. Yeah. Whereas like my parents, my mom and my stepdad are more like, well, we're just nervous. Like my mom would just be like, one day so what happens is I date all sorts of people but I was briefly dating someone who happened to be white. And I was like, yeah, Mom, I'm just not that into him. Like, he's nice. He's a good person. Like,
I'm just like lukewarm about this person.
Yeah, just like, he does a lot of stuff. Like, I just don't really see it working out. She's like, well, what are you into? Are you into women? And I was like, maybe. And then she's like, well, we just don't want you to date any more brown people. And I was like, okay, let's have a talk about this. Statistically, looking at the people I date, the odds are pretty good that it's going to continue to happen. So you need to relax on this and we need to have a talk. And their concerns are just like, well, like, your life will be harder and your life will be this, and we're just worried about
it's literally the
differences.
Same reasons that people don't want their children to be gay, but she would be okay with you dating like a white woman.
But then every time I bring someone home, they love them. So I'm like,
and when you bring them home, do you think they genuinely love them? Because they meet an individual that they like.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, I told you would like them.
Right.
It's not his fault that he's brown and he's really great. Like, what is your problem?
Right.
Like it's bad that they look different than me.
How many times do I have to prove your prejudice is wrong?
It's stupid.
Before you just don't have them anymore.
Totally. And it's like, and a lot of it is just then she's like, oh, well, this person's really great and they treat you really well.
But she's taking it as this like, oh, well, look at this one
it's like
instance.
An exception.
Like, you picked a good one. Yeah.
No, this whole family is great. I love all these people.
And there's a lot of people like that where even when they do, it's just a brain thing where they're like, oh, got a good one. Like they can't
they can't just be like, hey.
They can't change the whole thought process.
People, I think, do this thing in their brain where they're just like, when they see someone as an individual, they're like, oh, Katrina's great, but I don't know about these people. And
Absolutely.
You're just like,
oh,
what?
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you say that? Just every person you have to assess on an individual basis of shittiness.
Right. And you're right. And there are things that happen in people's lives where they hold on to that one thing and decide that those are those people for the most part.
Yeah.
Like you could get
so dumb.
mugged by a black guy or see something happen to your mom that was a black guy, and all of a sudden it is always the opposite way where everybody that could potentially also be that person has to prove to you that they're not that person, as opposed to assuming the other way.
I mean, most of the dudes that bullied me when I was a kid were white, so I don't know.
Oh my gosh, and that was the other thing that I was thinking of is when I was growing up, could not have been less desired by most black dudes in my community. Like there were I had crushes on black guys and we would be pass notes or whatever. Yeah. But for the most part, it was the same kind of thing with them where they don't want even if you think I'm cute, you're still gonna have to explain that you're dating the nerdy white girl on the dance team to your friends if you're super cool and all your friends are black. Now I'm weird to you too.
Totally.
You know? And so all I did was get made fun of by mostly no, when I was way younger, it was just mostly males, period. I get
nerd.
Yes. Even now, earlier this week, I had to apologize to one of my friends because I snapped at him because if more than 2 dudes try to fuck with me at the same time, I will take it 10 levels higher than it needs to be because I was bullied by so many
for the
groups
jugular.
Of dudes. Yeah. And they'll be like, what the fuck is your problem? I'm like, I'm sorry. Because if more than 2 dudes try to talk shit to me, I'm gonna fucking go off, but it's just from when I was younger getting made fun of. But so that was just dudes in general. But when I was starting to want to be accepted, it was absolutely super nerdy. On top of just regular nerd stuff where you're just have braces and break out before everyone else.
Totally.
But then not having a big enough ass, being a super nerd anyway, where they assume that you don't. Which you're younger too, but you just make tons of assumptions about people.
Totally.
And what they're like and all of these things. So in my head, I got to the point even after college where it was I'm not used to black guys being into me. And so for black guys now to try to cop an attitude with me because I date white guys or date outside of my race for the most part is so funny to me. Because it's not you as an individual if you like me, but as a whole, I've been socially conditioned that I am not what you're into.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Now that I'm older and the schema, even now that Dear White People is cool and Dope came out and there are bigger social examples of black people being any kind of, not dope, but you know what I mean?
Kind of
any kind of, right.
Yeah, just I feel black people can be nerds. Black people can be weird.
That whole, right, just because Tyler, the Creator is a thing now.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to just let go of all the biases of being fucking ready for you to make fun of me or not accept who I am as a person. It's like now that we all know that there are Black people that exist that way, it's my fault for not being into you? Like, are you shitting me?
Oh, man.
Like, what? I don't understand, like, how you could discount all of that and just be like, I was so not any on paper anything.
Yeah, like you're just like no one is looking for this nerdy Black girl.
I should not assume, right? So for people to act like I am acting a certain way or think that I'm better than anyone is hilarious to me.
You're just like now you're bullying me because you like me? Like, what is this?
Right, because what are you doing? And I know that everyone is different, but it's like I didn't even have, on the whole, as a Black woman, I didn't have a community of Black people that I felt that I identified with and could talk to stuff about and felt a part of until after college.
Yeah.
Like, even in college, it was very much, because I went to school in Florida, but it was very much segregated where it was beautiful and strong, but I wasn't a part of it. Like, I didn't rush a Black sorority or, like, join Black Student Union because I didn't feel like it was the same kind of thing where it's like I felt like I would have been submersing myself in something that even
you
if
never
it
felt like you totally belonged.
Yes, which like on paper, it's like, why the fuck would you ever not do that? But that's what I felt like was like, I'm good. Like, I'm not going to go there and have a bunch of, because even growing up, I would go to an all Black church and it would be I didn't fit in with the kids there.
Yeah.
You know, like they were a bunch of kids that went to school on the west side of Jacksonville. I was this girl coming from Orange Park. So I didn't, like, they all, on top of already knowing each other from school and stuff like that, we're just like, who is this nerdy little girl? There was like me and one other kid from Orange Park, like I was, that was kind of like me, like skateboarded, did all this stuff, but also was the only kid in our church that would like raise his hand and be like, yeah, well, I don't think God is real. And I was just like, Tim, you are not helping us right now.
We're trying to fit in. You're ruining it for us. Come on, man.
Here's the thing. Totally see your point. We can't talk about that right now. It was like hilarious. Like now I like want to find Tim because he was the shit and I just wasn't ready for him.
Solidarity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you were the shit. I totally see all your points. But yeah, it's like always feeling that non-acceptance. And so I was so happy to when I got older, even in Jacksonville, when I moved back and moved into, and it was like the hip hop community. It was the entertainment community in general. But when I started doing stand up at intermission and shows and going to hip hop shows and all this stuff, I kind of encompass these people that I'm friends with now, even though I don't live there. But it was like those were the people where the first time I felt really fully accepted
in a place.
And like, oh wow, like I'm not, and it wasn't that I became any different person, but it was just
everyone's weird and you can be weird too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Black kids that loved hip hop and know everything about Tribe Called Quest, but also loved DBZ, you know? Like it was like, oh, we just didn't know each other existed because you live 40 minutes away from me, but like we grew up being the same people, parallel, just like far apart and alone. I think like meeting all those people when you're older is awesome.
I was talking about it with my boyfriend last night and I was just like, yeah, like I've never felt accepted in a place. Like I've always felt outside of and in between groups. Mm-hmm. So like being able to identify and address people just for like who they are individually is so important to me. And I also love people that don't fit in a box.
Right.
Those are my favorite people. Because I'm like, what secrets?
Oh,
where are all your secrets?
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh.
Cool.
Yes, you're so right. All of my favorite people, like as a loudmouth, obnoxious person, my favorite people at parties are the people that aren't talking to anyone.
I'm like, you got secrets. What's going on?
And it's not even secrets. It's just I gravitate towards like, I want to be that person's friend. I want to be the person that's not talking to anyone yet. For whatever reason.
Because I just want to know what's up with them.
But right. Yeah, exactly. Curious. And it's like, even if to be, and I think it is more like a secret, not that they have secrets, but I care about, which is kind of probably still selfish, but I feel like they're my secret.
Oh,
like,
that's cute.
People be like, oh, that person's weird. And you're like, you've never even talked to that person. They're awesome and you're dumb. Totally. And like, you have no idea, you know?
So, okay. So when you met your boyfriend now, when you guys started dating, how long has he lived in America?
He lived here probably like 3 or 4 months before we met, but he had been here a bunch of times.
Okay.
Like he's been to New York. He'd come to LA like 2 times before he moved here. He like travels a lot.
Okay.
So
what was his experience? Because had he ever dated someone that wasn't white before?
Yeah. Well, his ex-girlfriends are like white Italian women, but he has dated outside of his race before. And I absolutely, it's so funny because like we'll talk about just like world things that are happening. And he'll tell me about what's happening in the news in Italy. And he ends so many sentences with, yeah, but everybody's just racist and like, whatever. And so I asked him about that and he was like, oh no, my parents are not, he was like, I've dated like black women before and whatever.
That's cool.
So yeah, but his most recent ex-girlfriends are white, but
that's because, I mean, like in Italy, there just aren't many.
No, there are.
Are there?
Theirs is from the African refugees that come from like the Sudan and stuff that come over, and it's a whole different experience. It's similar to how people here, not on, I'm sure on different levels it's very different, but the very base of like all of these people are coming over and taking our jobs.
So it's how
and then the other side
Mexican
of these people need help. Exactly. Yeah. And so there's that divide, but that's where the racism comes from and the crime and stuff like that. And right now there's like things where they don't want to take any more of these refugees, so they're getting rejected and they don't have anywhere to go, and other countries are trying to take them. But yeah, like they've got their own shit for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So like what have your experiences been now that you're dating him? Have you received like, I mean, you're saying that like black guys will be like, whoa, you're dating this white guy. Like, what's the deal?
Now, it's so funny because I'm older and we're in LA and people are passive aggressive.
It's so much more chill here.
The stuff that I hear, I don't hear stuff in Florida. I would hear stuff like from strangers that makes you concerned for your safety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like, I've never had anything crazy where someone like, called me a racial slur or anything like that. But like, I've one Christmas, I was shopping with my ex-boyfriend. This was like 6 or 7 years ago in Florida, but we were shopping. It was like Black Friday. And we were shopping for everyone in his family. And this group of like younger white guys walked past us, and they were all like, they look like regular dudes, but they also look like good old boys, kind of like they had their fishing team. But here's the thing is they looked like my boyfriend. Like my ex-boyfriend was a welder. So he wore work pants, shit kickers, like every day, right? So like they look just like him, but it was this group of guys that really loud when they walk by, they go, oh wow, I think it's time to get out of here. And just look super, and there was no one else around. And me and my ex-boyfriend both when they passed, looked up and looked at each other. And I went, did you hear that? And he was like, yeah. And I go, you think that was for us? He goes, oh yeah. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? And I like kind of said it loud, and they just kept walking like they didn't hear me or didn't care or whatever. But things like that will happen that I don't feel like I super have to deal with here.
Yeah.
But I just hear passive aggressive things through people about people having like whatever particular
a feeling
opinion.
About it.
Yeah. Or just a thought. Or just even to have like a thought about it. It's like, it's the same thing as you, where it's like, I don't even understand how you get to the point where you have a concrete thought about this.
I don't know how you have the time to care about what I'm doing with my life.
Oh my
I don't have time to worry about other people's choices.
Written enough jokes today that you made it all the way to caring about who I date. And I haven't seen you in real life in like months. Like, it's crazy.
For real. For real,
that's just me being like bitchy about it. But I do understand like just a human interest that some people might have, I guess. Still don't get it. I lied. I don't understand
I don't get it. I just like, to me, like I had this conversation with Quincy Jones actually, because he was like, oh, have you never felt like disappointed when like you see someone that's really good looking and he's a guy and it turns out that he's gay? And I was like, no, I don't care.
No,
like,
because I haven't been that genuinely attracted to a gay man without knowing he was gay since I was like 12 years old.
Well, the thing is too, is it's like part of the way that I'm attracted to people has to do with how I'm connected to that person.
Right. I feel like it's like even when you feel some guttural thing from across the room, it's like I wouldn't feel that about someone who just thought my shoes were cute. So I don't think I've ever gotten to that point with someone.
And it's also like I also don't walk around the world thinking that every man is for me.
You're so right. Also, I didn't mean to sound like you guys only care about shoes a second ago.
Oh,
but
no, totally.
But no, you're so right. Where it's like I absolutely can understand liking and I think that happens even as you get older, and if you have ever met someone that you know is great, but you're just not that into.
Yeah,
you can imagine someone feeling that way about you. So it's not so, it's still upsetting because you want what you want, but you can put yourself in the perspective of just because they don't want to date me doesn't mean they hate me. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. I'm just not the one for them, because I've met people that were great and they weren't the one for me either.
Totally.
I don't know if people can make that leap.
This weird thing happens where people feel like people build other people up. And they're like, oh, well, if this person likes me, then I'm worth something, or I'm worth this. And it's just like, no, like a relationship is just like someone I want to hang out with all the time. And then we fuck. Like, that's it. Yeah. That's the thing.
And I think that is even going back to the whole, that similar rush of someone that doesn't give you the emotional stability that actually sustains you. Yeah. That can be on the similar vein of like, once I get this person, that means I have achieved A, B, and C, or that means I'm good enough because this person is with me. Like, if I hadn't made it to that point, would she be here? That kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think people for sure look for in other people. And then when that person's gone, all of a sudden, all of your self-worth goes with them. And it's like, that shouldn't.
Just take it easy.
Don't do that to yourself.
I think that, like, being in LA, because I was like kind of a serial monogamist before I moved here.
Which I can see you being.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just like you. Yeah. Let's just be together.
Like, you're like mad settling. Like, if you were a building, you would be a homestead. Like, you are just the most.
I've made my mark. Let's hang out here forever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've been here since the Dust Bowl.
I definitely have a Dust Bowl face.
You do. We need to shoot Gazetta in black and white, not smiling.
Just with pigtails and the long prairie dress and not smiling and just like a cream of dust on my face.
I was about to say,
like
just
a mask, some smudge.
Just like one smudge
just
on
like,
a cheek.
It's been a tough summer.
Oh my God. Like, I've just been eating grits and sand all summer long.
Yeah, I got like the wheat out of my mouth. Like, I'm chewing on the end of the wheat
Like,
stalk.
it's silent for like a minute and a half and you just go, well. Like, you're that kind of person.
Yeah, just like cowboys and old men and me, apparently. Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's so, like, before I moved here, it was just like serial monogamy, and then I moved here and I was like, people are just fucking and no one's holding hands, and I'm not ready for it.
That's another thing. Oh my God, and no one's holding hands. It's so perfect. No, you were definitely one of the people that I heard on stage who made me feel so much better about a thing where you were talking about being emotionally attracted to someone and that being your thing.
That's how I get my boyfriend the other night, he did this thing to me where we were like hanging out. He goes, I'm so committed to you. He was like dirty talking.
That is so hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So
well, because the thing that my boyfriend did a while back, was it before we started? I think it was before we started dating, but I'm really weird about locks.
Okay.
Like, I've never been to like a therapist or anything. Am I OCD? Maybe a little. I'm weird about locks. I check them. I count them. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I want to make sure the door's locked before we hang out. Yeah. I'm totally into that.
Like, I lock it a certain amount of times. Like, yeah. So I left my car at his apartment when I went out of town for work because it's like closer to the airport. Yeah. And I told him that I was like, I think at one point I did mention like, oh, I took off. I was like, oh, I'm taking off. I hope I locked my car as a joke because he's seen me like lock my apartment before and stuff. And later on, he sent me a video of him riding by my car on a skateboard, and he just pulls the driver's side door a bunch of times and drives off. And I was just like, this is the best video that anyone has ever seen. I was so overjoyed. Like, it made me so, I immediately felt so, like you said, just like, oh shit. Like,
this is for real. You get all of the things that I'm afraid of, and instead of telling me I'm stupid, and instead of brushing me off and telling me I'm dumb, you are reassuring the things that I'm afraid of, and it makes me love you so much more.
It was so awesome. I was like, I can't believe he just validated my neuroses like that. I felt so great. So yeah, absolutely, just like being attracted to people that way, and just having, but that being so not what people want here, and so what makes people feel very uncomfortable, which is something that happens all over the place. But I feel like LA, even because people are so focused on certain goals that they think that can't happen simultaneously as a relationship, there's so much like nope, on top of just being emotionally stunted. Yeah. But I feel like that's how I end up having friends where it's like, okay, now I've gotten old enough to where I don't have these long, drawn out, fucked up friends with benefits things where I'm just like martyring myself for years at a time, just like doling myself out until there's nothing left, until they like end up dating someone else or something. Yeah. I'll just be like, okay, this person is never going to come around to what I want. Like, we just have to be friends. Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so now I just have friends that I'm so emotionally there for And then like they're just like guys that I used to be in love with that I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna like be your friend whenever you are able to fight your insecurities and neuroses and fear enough to need someone or help or advice, like we can talk.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not going to fuck you.
Right. And just be like, I'm going to detach from the part where I try to get something from you that you're not able to provide and just care about you as a friend because I still care about you as a human because that's where all this started to begin with.
That's a really important distinction, I think, that you just made in your language. You said, you're not giving me something that you're not able to provide.
Yeah.
Because so often I think that we think that, like, I've dated men, boys, whatever, people here, and they weren't able to give me
the older you
thing.
get, people are aware of their shortcomings
It's not
emotionally, and it's like, yeah, dude, same page. I also wish that I could make this work.
Right.
Like there are lots of people out there
and it's just
that.
like they're not capable of understanding even what they want most of the time. They don't know.
So
it's just like you have to just be like, okay, well, you're a little baby bird and you got to learn how to fly eventually. And you can go do that. And I'm not going to fuck you. And that's, you just go.
Exactly.
Go I'm going to go date someone that's fulfilling my needs on more levels than this.
Exactly. And then when you.
And doesn't mean I don't care about you, but you can't just call me when you want to fuck.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. Because that is a very different thing for me.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're so right, because that's what really allows yourself to be open to, which this is like some old Black lady Baptist stuff, but my mom is always talking about blocking your blessing. But it's like, even if you talk about it on a level that isn't like Christian King James based, just the reality and logic of if you're spending your time constantly being emotionally available for someone who isn't going to give you what you want, you are ultimately going to not be around or in a place where you would be meet someone else.
You're burning yourself
out. You're dedicating time.
Too.
Yeah. And you're dedicating time to something that you could be in another place, either just trying to fulfill yourself or go on a walk and be open, or in an area where you can run into someone better than that or be introduced to someone better than that or whatever, instead of constantly trying to be available for this other person.
It's like watering rocks and being like, a garden will grow.
Yes, right.
It's not going to happen.
Instead of being like, or you could like move that watering pail over to this patch of grass and see what happens. Just as an experiment.
Just a thought. Hey, we're pretty much out of time here.
I know, sorry.
This is really fun. I love talking with you. This is so fun. We covered so many great topics and I'm really excited about it. We have a couple different things is like, first of all, like kind of last question is like, when you first feel yourself starting to fall in love with someone, do you have any kind of like initial fears, and how did you and your current partner kind of like talk through those fears?
Mm-hmm. That was probably what we talked about with panic attack about.
The panic attack of just feeling like, oh, if there's no drama, I'm not enough for this person.
And differentiating feelings that you've been emotionally trained through whatever your romantic experiences are to think that that's what the feelings, the intensity or strength of the feelings that you should feel to validate having a long-term or serious relationship with someone, like being committed to someone.
Yeah.
And what those things really are. And like, oh, was that butterflies? Is that love? Is that a connection? Or is that the high of finally getting fulfilled? You know what I mean? Or like whatever those differences are.
Totally. Yeah. Then I also want to ask you, do you want to just say something that you love about your boyfriend real quick?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Just like one really cool thing that you're just like, oh, this is what makes
I think I really appreciate a lot of things about him. Like, he's a photographer, he's super talented, he's very like open, but I think definitely about him as a person is like the thing, and I don't know if it's because he's not American, but just a carefreeness about being seen and being judged and stuff like that. Like, we went to this art gallery and it was really small. So it was like this gallery opening and they had a DJ and drinks and stuff, but it was just super little. Like, there were like 10 people there. And he goes, I thought this would be bigger. Like, I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, it's fun though. And everyone, it was could not have been more Highland Park. Like everyone looked ridiculous. There was a child in like handmade ridiculous clothes. Like everyone was just like peak art. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I wish we could be like cool like these art people. And he immediately goes, we are cool like these art people, and just started dancing like super lame. And it was just his knee-jerk reaction to not have that insecurity.
He just doesn't care.
So yeah.
That's so cute. That makes me so happy. Do you want to tell people where they can find you on social media and stuff?
My name on like Twitter and Instagram and all that, it's Katrina Savad. It's just Davis backwards because there's a billion Davises in the world, and Katrina Davis Comedy on Facebook. And I have I'm a small part of a special that's coming out next month on Seed and Spark, which is like a streaming thing. It's called Everything is Fine. It's going to be awesome. So when that comes out, it's sometime in September. So I'll post about it.
This is perfect because this will probably come out around that time.
Heck yeah, man.
Congratulations.
It's like the third week in September, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But it'll be cool. There's me and a bunch of other comics in it. It's sweet.
That's so exciting. Yeah. Thank you so much. Guys, if you like this podcast, it's so fun. Guys, if you like this podcast, follow us on all the social media at Andrea Loves Everybody. Email us at andrealoveseverybody@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, queries, pitch ideas. And if you can rate and review and subscribe on iTunes, if you put a review when we get to 50 reviews, I will pick one person out of those 50 people and I'll draw a portrait of you, just like I do for the guests each week.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that part. Yes.
Yeah, you're going to get drawn again. I'm so excited. And I love you guys so much. Follow me on all the social media at Sandra's Comic. I love you. Bye.